Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Kirsty.
And this is our podcast covering the highs, lows, and realities of parenting a child with neurodiversity.
Each week we'll be sharing updates from our lives and hearing from a variety of guests about their advice and experiences.
This is Love Needs No Words. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Love Needs No Words. The summer holidays are in full swing, so we hope that you're all okay. We know it can be a difficult time for many children with additional needs, with routines up in the air and change of pace, and obviously many struggle with going to busy places and loud environments, which is everywhere at the moment. So yeah, we hope you're hanging in there the best you can. Kirst, how are you getting on? You've just been away, which I cannot wait to hear all about, especially the travelling part, obviously.
Yes, we've been away and we're halfway through the school holidays, so I feel like we're on the downward stretch now, so that I'm feeling positive, quite positive today. Yeah, we went away, which was so good. We had a really good time, and yeah, loads to talk about because there was just lots of really good moments, but also some things that I really learned along the way, which I think might be helpful to share as well. But all in all, a success, and I'm looking for next year, so it can't have been that bad. Because we were really I was nervous. I think Matt probably had some trepidation as well, because we hadn't taken both of them abroad. It was the first time we'd been abroad since Max was born. So, and to be honest, the last few years I think we've definitely put it off consciously, to be fair. Probably being just nervous and fearful about what it might look like, and I think we were more fearful, or I was more fearful of actually the travel than being there, because we've been to holiday in the UK and it's been fine, so I know he can be somewhere else and it not be a major issue. But I was very fearful of being on the plane and him not coping, and it being a very confined space, and how we would cope with that and such like. But it was good. It was positive. The way there was definitely better than the way back, so I'll share some of the stories of the way back, but actually had nothing to do with Max and had all to do with my daughter.
Amazing. You always think it would be the child with additional needs, but sometimes it's not.
No, it absolutely wasn't. I mean, he had his moments, but the funny story was definitely aligned to her. So we went away with Tui, actually, and credit where credit's due, I spoke to them before we travelled, and I called, because they have a lot of information on their website about contacting them if you or your child or someone in the party has additional support that they could that they need. So I contacted them, and they were brilliant when I spoke to them on the phone. Really good, so knowledgeable. The man who I spoke to, just I felt like I was speaking to someone who understood, or had really good. But obviously proof is in the pudding, and I didn't know what it was going to actually be like when we flew. But
was it easy to get through as well?
Really easy to get through to them, and they have a direct contact number. So I spoke to them maybe a good probably 3-4 months before, maybe even longer than that, before we actually travelled. And then I rung them again just before to make sure that everything was, noted and documented for Max. And sorry if I'm really sniffly, but I caught a cold.
Oh,
I've been under the weather, so sorry for anyone listening to me sounding quite nasal or husky, one or the other. So I called them, and they were great. They confirmed everything was fine, and then so we stayed over because our flight was really early. So we stayed over at Gatwick the night before, which I really recommend, actually, because it took the stress out of it and meant that we didn't have to get up quite so early in the morning, because I was quite thinking, not only is my children going to be exhausted, I'm going to be exhausted. How on earth am I going to be able to cope with anything going wrong if I've got no energy whatsoever? So that was definitely helpful, and actually it made it kind of exciting. We got a bus in the morning, and he loves a bus, so it was a good start, to be fair. But Gatwick special assistants were incredible. Literally, we got there, checked in the bags, went straight over to them. They had somebody waiting for us, picked us up, walked us all the way through security, supported us the whole way through, same person. Got through security, and then they hand you over to another person who will come and get you when your gate's ready to board. And they give you a sort of pager, and that vibrates when they're ready for you to be picked up to go to the gate. So we just did our own thing, got some food and stuff, and then really quickly it beeped, and then they took us in sort of, I don't really know how to describe it other than a golf buggy, um, in one of those golf buggy things down to the gate. So it meant
Oh,
that
that's
he
great.
didn't have to walk with, and I think he maybe would have done, but walking is not Max's strength. I would say he will actively work against having to, and he's getting so heavy now, it's so hard
Mm.
to carry him. And obviously Eva's quite young, so she wouldn't have been able to have walked all that distance, and we did have a pushchair, but not for two. So that was great, and they literally escorted us right up to the point that we got on the plane, and they were absolutely brilliant, so compassionate, really just friendly, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I would say on the other side, because we went to Greece, I would say on the other side, not as attentive, but regardless, Max had a sunflower lanyard, and they knew what that meant, and they fast tracked us through in Greece as well,
Oh, that's
which was massive
incredible.
help because it was very, very busy that side, actually more busy than Gatwick was. So yeah, so that made a huge difference. I do think that without that, maybe less so Gatwick, 'cause it was very early flight, it wasn't as busy, but certainly in Greece we would have really come a cropper because the queues were about an hour to get through to
Oh.
baggage drop off. So yeah, he just wouldn't have been able to cope with everyone being so close, not being able to get out because obviously you're queuing in
Yeah,
big
yeah.
lines. No, they were really good. So that massively took the stress off. And I think just having that positive initial experience, I totally relaxed from that point onwards. They were just really, really good. And he was actually fine on the flight. It was a lot quicker on the way there than it was on the way back. And he was excited. So yeah, it was positive. He was tired by the end of it, and you could I could start to feel it. By the time we got to the hotel, he was pretty tired. But then, fortunately, because we arrived at sort of 1 o'clock, gave him some food and got him straight in the pool, and he was happy.
Oh, that's
And that's
amazing.
pretty much where he stayed for the rest of the week, in the pool.
That's so good. And because it was a TUI resort, did you find
Yes.
there was like elements of throughout the week you could tell that it was just geared up really
Yeah.
for just
Yeah.
children in general, but also
Children in
children with
general,
disabilities? Yeah.
absolutely. They were very accommodating with Max's needs, and he did go to the holiday club, the kids club, once, and they ask you about it. They ask you what his needs are, what triggers him, if there's anything specific that they can do to help him. Yeah, they were very good. He didn't go for the whole session, but he did stay for half of it, and yeah, and actually I think he quite enjoyed it. But from their side, they were really, really good. And when I got there, I got chatting to a lady who was like sort of the rep, I guess, or head of guest services or something along those lines. And I asked her, can children with autism come, but is the kids club accessible and inclusive for them? She's like 100%. She's like, he's not the first that we've had, and he won't be the last that we've had. Please, if he wants to come along, send him along. So yeah, really, really good. And actually, I know that they have now opened two resorts that are autism and ADHD friendly. So all the staff are trained, and they're just really geared up for neurodiverse families. So we're actually looking for next year to go to one of those. But I would say, in all honesty, even the resort we went to was very good, really good. And yeah, just he loved the entertainment and the energy that sort of came with it.
Oh,
Obviously
that's
loves
so
the swimming pool because he's very active and just basically spent 12 hours a day in the swimming pool. And when he wasn't in the swimming pool, he was eating chips and ice cream. So he was a happy boy.
oh, that's so and did you feel you could relax as well because it
Yeah,
was
I
that
did.
kind of
It's very
resort?
different to a pre-children holiday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't really feel like
There was
you're
no line on a sun lounger for me, but but yeah, no, definitely. I definitely felt relaxed. And I think we didn't experience any meltdowns whilst he was there, which I wasn't sure.
yeah,
He had his moments, don't get me wrong. Like, there was moments where he got frustrated, and he did find it difficult in the restaurants to sit still. I think there was so much going on. He finds that hard at home anyway,
yeah.
but there was so much going on. But do you know what? There was that many children, that many families there, all doing their own thing, and such like. So I didn't really feel um I didn't really feel like people there were eyes on me and people were judging. Yeah, he did have his moments. I think at points he got tired, and we had to encourage him to have a nap on a couple of the days actually. Just because I think he was just so tired from all of the swimming, like physically actually probably
Yeah.
exhausted, and he did have a nap, and that made a massive difference. Whereas he obviously he doesn't nap in home. But yeah, he had a great time, and I just think no demands on him the whole week. He did pretty much what he wanted to do. He ate what he wanted to eat. He was happy. Yeah.
Oh, Kirst, I'm so pleased because we spoke about it briefly, and I know I've still got my anxiety around it. But I think,
Yeah.
like you said, if you call ahead, you're organized in that respect, and then you're at a resort which is just geared up for it,
Yeah.
you're setting yourself up for a win. Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
it
think
is
I couldn't have
important.
done any more, I don't think, in terms of
Yes.
preparation. And I think I knew that he doesn't mind going on holiday. So it wasn't the first time we'd gone away with him. We
Yeah.
have been away in the UK. So I know he's okay sort of in a different room and in a different bed and such like that doesn't
Yeah.
really phase him all that much. So I knew that element was probably going to be okay, and it was okay. I guess if you've got a child where they find that really difficult, that's an added sort of layer that you need to you have to think about, isn't it? Whereas that's not one of Max's challenges, fortunately, in this situation.
And what about
Yeah.
preparation for the plane and things
Oh
like
yeah,
that?
I was. I'm. It was in that moment I realised quite how organised I can be. I had everything, and one
Yeah.
second. I packed loads of snacks. Snacks is the way forward. I packed of they have devices. I took an iPad, and actually didn't really use them for the rest of the week, to be honest. Um, because we that's something that we've sort of Max isn't using as much anymore, so I wasn't sure if letting him have free reign to it on a plane would sort of mean that he'd want a lot of it during the holiday, but it didn't. He didn't use a huge amount, but it was there as an option.
Yeah.
And we bought one for Eva as well. Activities, stickers, and to be honest, the best thing, we had my sister 2 rows up from us, and so Max wasn't fussed actually, but it was Eva being younger, so she's just 2. Sitting still is
Yeah.
difficult, so she was sort of up walking between the 2 of us, which helped because it kept her busy. I would say that was probably the most challenging part of the flight, probably for both of them actually, having to encourage them to sit when the seatbelt
Yeah.
sign was on, because they don't understand. They just
No.
don't get it. And Max's response to anything that he wants to do and can't do is basically just to scream. So
Yes.
he would just shout, which obviously is a bit like when you're in a enclosed space. But it was, fortunately, there was a little bit of turbulence, but not too much. And both of them, we managed it, put it that way. It was just about manageable, but I would say that that was probably the trickiest bit in terms of their age, was really have them having to sit down when they don't want to.
Yeah, which you can't really control at this
No,
age
you
anyway.
can't.
Yeah.
No, for either of them. But yeah, no, it was okay. On the way back, it was definitely more fruity. Delayed flight, more difficult time, definitely busier airport, so the flight time was longer and it was delayed, so he was both of them were really getting fed up by this point, plus they were on their way home, so there was nothing exciting about it. And 2 weeks before we travelled, Eva decided that she was going to potty train. No nappy, mummy, no nappy, which fine, we went with it, but did mean that on the plane on the way back, she didn't quite let me know that she needed the toilet in time, and subsequently did half a poo on the floor of the plane, which
Oh
was
my
one of
God,
those
that's amazing.
moments that was incredibly. I was like, this is the flight from hell. He was quite stressed. She was not having any of it. There's a poo on the floor. I was just very grateful that I'd been super organised with wipes and bags and clothes and
Scooped
everything.
it up.
And scooped it up, and nothing. No damage was
Nothing
done.
to see here.
Nothing to see here. But honestly, I thought, oh no, this is going to be one of those moments that is going to be so funny, and I'll look back and I'll laugh. But right now, it's not very funny. Right now, I want the ground of the plane to swallow me up.
I've just got that bridesmaid moment. It's like, oh,
Oh,
she's shitting in the street, shitting
she's
on the
just
plane.
she's shitting on the plane. It is exactly what happened. Yeah.
Bless her. Well, well
So
done you. Scooped it up, got it sorted. Nothing to see
I
here.
was an absolute ninja with it, but yeah. The way back was definitely worse. I would say lots of shouting from both of them. Actually, she was very, very tired. It was a midday flight, so she'd normally nap at that time. But
Yeah,
obviously, it was a bit too much going on for her to nap, so she couldn't, and then she just crashed. So the way back was way worse, but it's not put me off.
good.
Even with shits on the floor.
Well, that says a lot that even with all the screaming, you came back and booked again. So,
Yes, absolutely,
yeah. Oh, I'm really
absolutely.
pleased. And what was how was he when he got back?
That's been more challenging. The
Okay.
last 2 weeks have been rocky. The last 2 weeks have stretched my patience. And I think would stretch the patience the same. No, the last 2 weeks have been pretty tricky. He's been quite dysregulated frequently. Not all day. Well, some days all day actually, but I think it's slowly getting a bit better. I think it was partly the come down of a great week or a week that he really enjoyed. Tiredness, real tiredness that had just built up. And the total lack of any kind of structure when he got back.
Mhm.
There really isn't a lot. He has been going to his school holiday club a couple of days. First day, loved it. Second time he went, no, 2 days, loved it. Third time he went, I had to go and pick him up halfway through. So it's just been a bit up and down, to be honest. I
Yeah.
think there's probably lots of people listening thinking, yeah, I completely feel that. Are you in the same boat?
It's not been too bad because we went away to Norfolk and to Kent, so John's auntie and John's mum, and because we've been there many times before, I think the change of scenery was really good for us. We've noticed, and I don't know if people listening have had experiences as well, but when we go away anywhere, he has like a bit of a developmental leap when we get back, and I don't know if you
Yes.
notice that.
He said the other day he's suddenly doing things. He's doing like imaginative play, and he never did that before. But
Yeah.
with that leap comes the challenges of having a development leap, and yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. I mean, for us, obviously, the leap is language. So he's saying more words unprompted, which is great. But yeah, coming back from anywhere, he's just absolutely knackered. And sort of taking longer to get to sleep at night because I guess his brain's just like whizzing with all this information. But we've laminated boards up around the house now, which I think I spoke about briefly before, but yeah, it includes like his favorite places to go, which a few months ago, um, I'd point to something and say farm, and it was kind of just a way to kind of prepare him for where he was going. But this morning, for example, I said, Daddy and Alex go to the farm, and he pointed to the farm card on the board and repeated go farm. So it's things like that, which is brilliant
Yeah.
because he's attempting more. And I've also worked out that which people listening might have as well, like him shouting the words definitely helps him to get his words out. So he uses bye a lot now, which if he's upset, he'll close the door and say bye and go off for a sulk, which is hilarious. He'll say bye to people that come round unexpectedly and he's not prepared for them and just close the door.
What a welcome. No, not today. Bye bye.
Thank you. And then if anyone comes up to me in the park that again he wasn't expecting and we start talking, he pushes them away and he's like, bye. So it's again like another way of him saying, you weren't meant to be here and now you've come in and you've taken my mum's attention away. So that's been really interesting because it's more in context of stuff. But yeah, we feel like we're getting a lot more out of him during this sort of like one-on-one time because Izzy takes up so much of our energy and he, as you know, he's very go with the flow and you kind of have to spend a lot of time getting into his world where if she's around it's difficult to do that. So yeah, we feel like because we're getting this one-on-one time we're getting so much out of him. So yeah, that's the positive stuff. So I'll go through some of our challenging moments of holiday. So we were in Norfolk and we went to the beach, and we have been going to loads of stony beaches in Devon because he likes to throw the stones in the water. And we thought, let's just try a sandy beach. So the first issue was he didn't want to take his shoes off. So he
Sensory.
sensory straight away, didn't want the sand in his toes. So that was the first thing. And then we were noticing that at first he was just kind of throwing the sand up in the air and liking the sensation of it sort of going over him. But then he was kind of doing it without me noticing, but he was putting like chunks of it in his mouth. So I was, telling him off, but like many people listening probably have the same issue, is that it's actually a bit it is out of his control, and he was partly doing it for a sensory reason, but I think it was quite overwhelming. Like, we've not been to a sandy beach since he was tiny. There was a lot of people on this beach. We hadn't really come prepared. It was just like we'd come from the arcade, we were having a great time, and then we were suddenly on the beach. And yeah, I was sort of, sensory processing disorder is like definitely something Alex has, and it's something that's why we've got the occupational therapist starting in September. But all the kind of grabbing of the flowers, what he's
Yeah.
doing now is he'll grab the petals and he'll flutter them to the floor, like he likes that kind of sensation. But yeah, we were sort of telling him to stop, and then we weren't there long, and then anyway we got back to John's auntie's and I saw him looking a bit queasy, and I thought, good, because I really want this sand to come up, because I actually wasn't sure how much he'd taken in. Anyway, he threw up 3 big chunks of it in the toilet, and I just said to him, this is why you don't swallow sand, this is what happens. But obviously you realize that he actually just doesn't really have much control over that. He just needed to do it. And part of me thought, well, this is great content for the podcast, because this is something that we can discuss, because I'm sure many people have had this problem. But also, you feel sad, because I was looking at Izzy, and she had a bucket and spade, and she was filling the bucket up, and she was turning it over and making a sandcastle. And it sounds awful to say, but you're like, these are all the things that we should be doing with him, but he's finding this totally overwhelming, and the first instinct is to put it in his mouth. Well, it's like, well, we can't stay here, because
Yeah.
so as much as he was enjoying himself, and he was enjoying himself, like, I've got videos of him like spinning and laughing, and we were throwing stones in the sea, but with that also came that demand to need to put it in his mouth. And it's like, said to John, we're best off at a stony beach for now, with maybe somewhere that's got sand on the floor of the sea, so if me and Isabel want to go in, we can. But yeah, it's in that moment where you think, it's things like this other people don't have to worry about, like they can just go to the beach with their children. I can't do that, because I have to think about the risk of him eating it.
And
So
the
yeah.
impact on your family dynamic as well, because you want to do that for Isabel, and you want to do that together as a 4, but you recognize that actually that might be something that Alex can't do right now. So that means that ultimately the 4 of you can't do that right now.
Yeah, and that's tough, because you just
Yeah.
think, but like what we all do is like, we just adapt, and it's like, well, we can still make a stony beach work and have a lovely time, and that's what we'll do. And then maybe in a couple of years he will, he won't need that sensory input as much, and we can, and there's things that we used to say even a year ago, we don't think he'll be doing that, and he has. So yeah, but yeah, of course, it's in that moment where you just think, it's so easy for some families, you just come to the beach and you're
100%.
here all day.
They don't have to do the preparation, right?
No.
So the next time you might be able to put a social story together which says, Alex goes to a sandy beach, Alex doesn't eat the sand, or whatever it looks like. But it's the amount of preparation that has to go in beforehand, and it's those moments that you're unprepared because it's just natural day-to-day life that then you get unstuck with. And it's it's a harsh reminder, isn't it, that actually there are lots of things that just feel a little bit out of reach.
Yeah, 100%. And even today, when I was at the park, I was working today, and I just went for a walk at lunchtime, and there was loads of clubs on in this particular park. And again, I looked around and I thought, he just wouldn't be able to join these. I mean, there was one, all the kids were playing football, and there was a lot of instruction. And then the other one, there was loads of like inflatables out, which obviously he would love, but it all came with a direction. You've got to go this way, then you've got. And again, there was like a moment, like a real sort of lump in my throat, where I just thought, yeah, we're not ready for this either, and that's really hard. It's just moments, isn't it, that just hit you and you just think, gosh, actually, it's just not easy at times, and it's a harsh reality that things are just a little bit um tougher for us. But anyways, I mean, other things, he's definitely been drawn to more screen time, whether it's a comfort thing or we've spoken about before, it's very predictable in a time that's like really unpredictable.
Yeah.
And he keeps wanting to use our phone, and actually it's not really TV, it's more listening to music. So he comes up to me and says music, and then he wants to have my
Oh, the
phone
phone. Yeah.
to select the songs on the Alexa.
Max has suddenly taken a real interest. He's suddenly got a absolute hyperfixation on the weather. So he has found a real dislike for the rain, and he's got a lot of anxiety now around when it might rain. So he is literally wanting to look at the weather app all the time. Certainly in the last
Interesting.
2 weeks. Less so actually the last couple of days, a little bit, but not been
Yeah,
asking as much. It must be that trying to find comfort in something, trying to find an escape into something. Maybe I.
I think it is.
Interesting that you said that because he's never done this before. It's been pretty much we did have it before school finished actually, to be fair, but it's definitely ramped up. Yeah, to be honest, I would call it quite obsessive behaviour. Really, really, and getting quite upset and emotional and angry actually if you can't access it.
Yeah, we're having the same. And yeah, the obsessiveness, it's like, it's great that he can now come up and say music,
Yeah.
but it's like a hyper fixation. And yeah, it's like he wants to go into this world that he can control. Like he knows, I mean, it's been really interesting because all the songs he's choosing are songs that John really loves. So he's obviously
That's good.
picked, yeah, he's picked up on
That's
like
something.
John's taste in music, which is questionable. But
Okay,
yeah,
not so
it's
great for you, but great for
not so
yourself.
great for me. We get the odd Disney song that comes on, so it's fine. But yeah, and sometimes, obviously, as many of you listening will understand, it's not always the full song. It'll be like maybe the intro because he likes the drumming or whatever.
Yeah.
But so there's that going on, and then interestingly, as you know, Dougie was a big part of our life for a long time, and then went away, and now Izzy's got into watching it.
Oh no.
I know.
I
So
think there's worse things, but
but it's interesting because he now watches it, pointing out things on the screen, verbally telling us what like different animals and objects are, and then he'll run in if I'm like doing dinner or something. He'll run in, he'll be like walking badge, and then run back out. But yeah, that's interesting because he's watching it now as a child that can sort of verbally tell
yeah.
you what's on the screen and things. So it's nice seeing him watching the episodes in a completely different way, because I know there's so many people listening that will get it, but I used to feel so guilty when I watched something with him because, as you know, like my younger daughter, I can verbally talk to her all the way through an episode, and she'll point things out and she'll ask things. But when you've got a child that's non-speaking, you just feel awful because you just feel like they're watching stuff, and because there's no back and forth, you just feel like a terrible parent. And I know it sounds ridiculous to say, but feels like they're already in their own little world, and then when they're watching something, they're like locked in, and you can't get to them even more. So yeah, it's actually really nice now that he's sort of talking through, I can talk through it.
Can
um
convert.
but yeah, I'm trying not to put too much pressure on with screen time, and you all shouldn't either, listening, because this is their time to chill out. And we always go out and we do an activity in the morning, come back, have some lunch, and then it is just like trampoline, watching something, just a slower paced afternoon. And actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do think they just need to zone out as well, don't they, during this time?
You have to find what works. Screen time. So interestingly, now that iPad, so he had this device like an iPad for a while, and he really loved it, and he was watching a lot of it. I think I spoke a couple of weeks ago or a couple of episodes ago about trying to for him to spend a little less time on it. And now actually he's not bothered about it at all. He started to watch the television a little bit more, but he struggles to concentrate on an
Yeah.
episode. So he will lose interest in that very, very quickly. He's also got glasses, which is interesting, which I think has made a bit of a difference. Not entirely sure he could see a huge amount of the television before.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so he got glasses just before we went on holiday. So I think that has helped a little bit. He still won't sit through an entire episode. There's just absolutely no way. But he definitely seems to be able to watch it for a little bit longer with the glasses, or at least take more in from it. Naturally, Eva has to watch whatever Max is watching because Max is
Yes,
a
we have
boss
this.
in our house. And where you said that you have to work to get into Alex's world, and actually Isabel takes up your time, I would say in our house it's the polar opposite.
Mm.
Max takes up a huge amount of time. He really, really needs a lot of attention and craves a lot of attention. So it's a different challenge, I would say, that we've got. But he's got into Lego a little bit as well, which is great. And he's starting to follow the instructions and build Legos himself. So I'm hoping that's gonna, over time, bring him a bit more ability to spend a bit of time doing something for himself. Because I don't know if it's an anxiety thing or what particularly drives it, but he really struggles to do anything without us with him. Even if he can, even if he's capable, he wants someone literally sat next to him, pretty much
Yeah.
doing not a lot, but just there as a comfort. And that's quite difficult when you've got two of them and you're trying to juggle your time during the school holidays to
Yeah.
basically be there for both of them. It is really difficult. But I'm glad that he's finding things that he enjoys doing. So the Legos are a big win because it works for him.
Yes.
It works for his brain. He can follow the instructions and he can tangibly see he's done something at the end of it. So I think he's really liking it, even though he'll literally do it, break it up, and then do it again. But his memory is incredible. Like, he does have to still follow the instructions, but you can see once he's done it a couple of times, he can literally just start placing these pieces in the right place. It's really amazing to see. For us, the hardest part of the school holidays is, I don't know if it's a lack of structure or whether it's actual boredom. And I do try and put on, to do stuff. We're not sat at home all day by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's just he needs so frequent change of activity to keep him engaged in stuff, which I'm not sure whether this is an autism thing. We just today actually started the referral process for ADHD. So I will keep everyone listening up to date with how that goes. I'd be so surprised if Max didn't have ADHD.
Yeah.
You've met Max. I think most people would be quite surprised if Max didn't have ADHD. So
And so many kids with autism.
yeah, it co-concurs.
Yeah. That's really interesting, isn't it? Like you were saying, trying to keep him busy. And I think with school, and I'm definitely finding with Alex, is that I'm finding it really hard to like get him to do any games that he'll do with the speech and language therapist. He actually just goes finished and closes the box. And it's like he's trying to say to me, like, this is what I do at school, and like I don't want to do it here.
Associated it with
Yeah.
home.
And I find when he's at school, like he concentrates, he's like, you know, doing all these things. And then when he's at home, I get the wins through doing different things. So like jumping on the trampoline with him, and I will use those times to try and like get words out. Or if he's just lying in bed with me in the morning, I'll do canting and stuff. And I have to kind of work with him in a different way, which is really interesting because I mean Adele's never had an issue with like him focusing and sitting down for her sessions and stuff. Well, not not every time, I'm sure there are times, but not like point blank refusing and going finished and like moving on. So yeah, I didn't want to put too much pressure on him over the summer holidays to have to sit down every day and do something, as in these one-to-one games. So I've been doing sort of one-to-one interaction in my own way, like when we're out and about, or even just going to an open farm and saying, going to a farm for the day and saying, what's that, and like going around and saying all the animals. So it's been trying to use it in a different way. But we're definitely going to download a AAC app onto his old iPad next week. And Hannah Joy, the guest that came on talking about AAC, Really great episode if you haven't heard that one. But she said just delete everything from the iPad and it's just going to be used solely for communication. So we'll see how he gets on and let you know. But I feel like even the little Amazon thing we bought, which says you're hungry, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, it's really helped for him to form those words. So he'll now say hungry and he'll say water if he's thirsty. Yeah, he's really, really trying to communicate with us, and even just that has helped because he's learnt the words through pressing the buttons. So yeah, we'll see how he gets on with that. But yeah, we go away on Saturday for a week down to Devon, and I also find that was another point I was going to make. When we're somewhere else, he doesn't know where the remotes are or how the telly works or anything like that. So, like when you went on holiday, I think you're so kind of busy doing things, or you're like, I don't know, because you're in a different place. I mean, he knows my sister's house, but he he's less drawn to screen time. But as soon as he comes home, it's like he's in his little safe bubble and he can use the phone to get to choose the songs, and then he's like hyper focused on that, and he's so happy, so excited, because I think he's like, I'm home, I can just
Yeah.
completely relax and just be who I want to be. So yeah, that's been really interesting actually.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I do agree with the point that you made. I do think that do need that time to just decompress. And every child's really different. But when your child really struggles with play and making sense of play and toys and the other things that other children might do to relax and decompress, it's very hard to withdraw something that you can see is offering them that. So yeah, I personally feel that there's a place, and the reason for removing Max with the iPad was not to remove that from his world entirely. It was just it had got to a point where it was causing a lot of anger when we needed to take it away. It was
Yeah.
causing a lot of problems with his emotional regulation, which Max really struggles with anyway. And yeah, has been something we've struggled with over a bit before the school holidays, but definitely the last few weeks. And we need to reach out, I think, to an OT, because in a similar ilk to Alex, it's definitely a sensory thing. He started pinching, which um seems to, it's hard to know. It's definitely a sensory thing to a degree. I think it's also a bit of an attention
Yes.
thing as well. He knows it's going to get a response immediately. And I don't think Max particularly minds what kind of response. Actually, he just wants a response. So I suppose when he's finding it hard to, you know, or feeling unsettled, maybe is probably more right. That's just an immediate go-to for him, and this has always been the case. He's always been quite, when he's feeling overwhelmed emotionally, he's very physical in his in his showing of it, which
Yeah.
is really hard actually for home life. It is really difficult.
Yeah,
It's
I can
very
imagine.
difficult when your child, who actually is a lovely child, and you see all of these really positive things about them, but is ultimately, pinching and try what is your brain immediately goes to, like, they're trying to hurt me, and I don't think he is actually trying to hurt. I think he's just trying to convey something, but obviously it's working with them to try and convey that in a different way. And nothing's quick, nothing is fast. You try and do something and you have to give it so much time to change, and it can be quite soul destroying at points, because you think, I'm trying and it doesn't seem to be getting any better.
Yeah, I find the same frustration actually, and it sounds an awful thing for me to say, but I know many people listening will understand, is that even now we're getting like a few words, it's the frustration that it doesn't feel like it's moving on fast enough. And it's ridiculous because you'll speak to somebody that's not seen you for months and they'll, or my friend that came and stayed was like, wow, I can really see the difference. But yeah, I just feel like with this journey, everything just takes so much longer.
Takes so much longer and takes so much more energy, and you have to think about it all of the time. Like, I have to, with Max, almost when he's with other children, or another, actually just in majority of situations, give him the words to use, like, or guide him through situations, which I haven't had to do with my daughter up to now at all. really. And I watch her with other children, and it just seems, at least at the moment, to sort of be just more natural in how we would expect her to sort of behave. But yeah, for Max, I end up having to really support a lot when it comes to the social side of things. I have to support him with almost every, or it feels like almost every interaction. What could we do in this situation? Oh, this is the kind of words that you would be able to use. Or and I'm really conscious of not trying to change every single thing that he's doing, because not all of it needs to be changed. But actually, I'm really conscious as well that if I don't help him and teach him and support him, how will he know that that's what other people expect from him? And if he chooses to do that as an adult or not, then that's his choice, isn't it? But I feel like I kind of want to give him those. I want to give him, yeah, I want to give him the opportunity, at least. I find with transitions, if we're out and about, if he's moved on from something, he immediately wants to sit in the pushchair. He wants to sit in the pushchair. I don't know whether it's to kind of just offers him a safe space, I think, to then move on to the next thing. But we're kind of getting to the point where we recognise he's getting a bit big for the pushchair. Not in general, but for our pushchair at least.
Yeah.
He's going to break it. So I'm trying to sort of encourage him where he can to sort of walk. And so I could see that he had the energy, and we hadn't walked very far, and we were in a very open space. So it wasn't, there was no risk to his safety to do it. So I was kind of trying to encourage him to walk. He wasn't taking kindly to it, and he was having like quite an emotional response to it. He was quite frustrated and quite upset. And because I was trying to be calm, and I was calm, but I could feel myself like grinding my teeth.
Yeah.
You are stressed, right? You
And
are.
it's hot as well.
It's hot, and even if you're trying to regulate your own emotions, like, you still are feeling those emotions.
Of course you are, yeah.
So it's got to come out somewhere. So I'm thinking, like, my poor jaw is just completely clenched. No wonder I have headaches. Stay calm, Kirsty, stay calm. I probably have a face of thunder. I'm not shouting, but my eyes and my face.
We've got patience of saints, like all of you listening. It's like you have to have patience, don't you? Like, because there's so many things that we come up against that other people don't, and you have to just, yeah.
I know. And I think, do you know what? We're constantly saying, Max, you don't need to shout. Max, you don't need to shout. And then if you're shouting at him, you think, what is that teaching
I'm
him?
shouting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, mummy, you're shouting, so why shouldn't I shout? So, I mean, there's going to be moments, isn't there? None of us are perfect.
No, you're doing amazing. And also, this is our first summer holiday as well. So, we're, like many of you listening, kind of finding our way with it and seeing what works and what doesn't. I mean, John had a week off at the beginning and the end, and they've been trampolining together, they've been going out, went to Legoland one day. Like, they've had a really, really great time, just having that one-on-one time, because as I say, we don't really get it with him. But yeah, they were just some of the things um that we've found, that have come up, that yeah, maybe next summer we can see the difference in what, what a year makes. But yeah,
Yeah,
interesting, isn't it?
it is interesting. It is interesting. I think we might experience some of the same things next. For me personally, I feel like we're going to experience some of the same things next year. And but you know what? You're just maybe a little bit better equipped, or you've got,
Yeah,
if you end up on the beach, you've had the conversations beforehand, or if you know they're struggling with the transitions, you give them a bit more time. But it's just hard when life just doesn't. Life isn't, and you can see why it's hard for them, because life is not, predictable all of the time. It goes off piste, and then they find that hard, don't they? Or it moves a
yeah,
bit too quickly, or it's a bit busy, or yeah, I mean, goodness me, the queues everywhere. It's so busy. I can
yeah.
see why going abroad, or going on holiday, actually, not even abroad, but going on a holiday in term time would be so much better for neurodivergent children, because it is hugely busy. And actually, for Max, it didn't massively impact him actually where we went, but has done previously, being around a lot of other children, because they're unpredictable and he finds that harder.
But also, it's important to remember that that's overwhelming for so many
Yeah,
children in general, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. You are right. Yeah, absolutely. You think, oh, it's just my child that can't cope in this situation, but actually, no, it's not. But I have started to really notice some of the differences and the gap, I guess, between him and sort of peers. Certainly, like we went out with a friend who we've known that Max is exactly the same age. We've known them since birth, and actually, I could really see that when we were in the restaurant having lunch. Max couldn't sit still. He could not sit down. He couldn't sit and focus and have his dinner. And we weren't in there for very long. He was standing up and he was moving the chair around the restaurant. And it's hard when you can see that actually that's not where his peers are. They can now sit down and do a drawing or focus on something whilst they're having their dinner and sit down. But Max cannot sit down. He can't even stand in one spot. He's just got to keep moving.
Yeah. I mean, Alex has started doing that. He will sit down for some of his dinner, like if I've got the little table out and they're watching a film or something. But even then, I mean, today I walked back in and he was jumping up and down. He needed that sensation. He's like got like 4 bits of omelette hanging out of his mouth. I was like, "You right there, mate?"
I know.
And it was just like he just needed to keep moving. And yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think it's just the way their body. I think maybe a song came on or something, but their minds work differently, their bodies are different, and yeah, it it's just I don't know, getting more of an understanding of how they work and rolling with it.
It's fascinating, but it's a real lesson in sort of changing your
Mindset.
mindset. You've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly the word I was looking for. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is, isn't it? And managing your own expectations about really what is going to be realistic. Because, like you were talking about with Alex with the sand, he actually just has to do it. And I see situations happen with Max where I can see, it's not behaviour that I would really want to see, but he has no control in that moment, and it's really hard then to kind of come down. You would kind of expect to come down like a ton of bricks because actually the behavior itself ordinarily you would manage, but I can literally see he hasn't meant to do it.
Yeah,
He just does it.
I
There
know.
is zero impulse control at all.
And people around you don't really understand because they're like, you just tell a child not to do something, they should stop. But
Yeah,
it's not that way with ours. And
it
it's so frustrating as a parent of a child that's neurodiverse because you're like, watch me parent this child
yeah,
and I tell her to stop and it stops, but he just can't. It's like it's out of his control. And it's very difficult to explain that to someone that isn't with them day in, day out.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
I definitely feel you on that one.
Yeah. But anyway, it's been a roller coaster. We'll come back in a couple of weeks and fill you in with the rest because we've got a couple more weeks to go. Yeah. Hang on tight, everyone.
Hold on to your
The
hat.
roller coaster's still going.
We're still on it, and then we'll have the going back to school roller coasters.
I know. Yeah, that'll be a good episode, I'm sure.
No, there's been loads of positive stuff that we've
Yes,
talked
there
about.
has.
If you take the poo and the vomit out of it, I think this has been quite a positive episode.
Like, yeah, we've had some lovely trips. We've done some really fun
Good.
stuff as family, but yeah, it's important we come on here and talk about
The
the tough
reality.
bits as well. Yeah. That's what you all want to hear, let's be honest. You want to hear the tough bits as well as
We
the
want
good.
to hear that we're not the only ones going through it.
Exactly.
We're not the only ones having a difficult day.
We're all going through the shit show together.
Yes, we are.
So we're away for a week and then we'll be back with sort of a roundup episode of the last part of the summer holidays and the run up to school. We've both got social stories for the boys, so they'll be in full swing by then. And we've got some brilliant guests lined up for September, including Alex Richardson on Instagram. He's using his social media to talk about his own journey with autism, his early years, and now he's sort of helping others and is an ambassador for the National Autistic Society. So we're looking forward to speaking to him. And we've also got twins tied in autism vibes. That's Charlotte, so mum to Tommy and Jude, who you've probably seen or read a lot about on social media. She's also got 2 twins and is part of SAA clothing, which is in support of neurodiversity. So really excited to speak to her, and we want to visit the shop, don't we, at some point?
Do. Yeah, one that we want to do when they've gone back to school and we can actually go and just relax and enjoy it and have a day to ourselves is what we've talked about, isn't it, Amy?
Yeah,
Actually,
that'd be really nice.
try and get some rest and relaxation.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we hope you have a good week. We'll be back the last week of August, and yeah, the holidays will be coming to an end, which is mad. So thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to like and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and keep up the good work pushing through the holidays. You're all brilliant. Thanks, lovely listeners. Until next time, Kirst.
Until next time, bye.